What's going on, everybody? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and today we're going to make a little bit of a different video. And in this video, which won't be gaming related, we're going to look at the age-old question, the one that has been going on for basically about 1 billion years now, if you're a fan of anime or whatever. But anyway, the question itself is, we're going to look at subtitles versus dubbing. Okay, otherwise known as subs versus dubs. Now, this is something that comes up a lot, usually, well, basically all over the place. No matter where you look, no matter where you talk about it, there's usually the raging question between subs and dubs. Now, realistically, when it comes down to it, it's more personal preference, okay? Now, we'll get into the pros and cons of both now in a minute, but the big thing is, at the end of the day, it's personal preference. However, having said that, I believe that there are good dubs, there are bad dubs, there are good subs, and there are bad subs. It can vary on so many different things. It can vary on the style of the anime, it can vary on the cast, the ability of the actors, and in relation to dubs and subs, it can depend on the translation as well. So let's break it down for a minute to look at some of the positives and negatives of both subs and dubs. So let's break it down into individual pieces. We'll look at the pros and cons of each individual section. Good dubs, good subs, bad subs. So let's go with this one first. Let's look at good dubs. Now this is something you don't actually notice too much unless you watch a lot of subtitled anime and then possibly go back and watch maybe something you know and love that's in your native language, or maybe you go and watch something new that has what's considered a good dub, has a good cast, they're very talented, good translation, whatever it is. But when it comes to a good dub, when you are looking at it, it can really bring the characters alive. It can really bring the characters to life, and it can really bring them alive in a way that you interpret their personality, their voice, their mannerisms, everything about it. It's the small things, inflections, idiosyncrasies, subtleties of the English language. All of these, tone, voice, whatever it is, as long as it matches the character's personality and it's a convincing argument and a convincing dub, well, realistically, that makes it a good dub. Case in point, look at Cowboy Bebop, one of the best dubs ever made, generally considered amazing and probably almost universally loved. It's such a great dub. But there are also bad dubs as well, and this can be kind of subjective. Because realistically, when you look at it, what counts as bad acting? But to me personally, a bad dub, and not bad acting, counts when I feel like the voice, or the personality, or the mannerisms, the inflection, the talent of the actor almost, they don't fit my perception of the character based on what's being shown to me and what's being demonstrated on screen. If that doesn't match the voice properly, and the mannerisms, the tone, etc., then something like that would arguably be considered a bad dub. Now, when it comes to casting as well, of course this is something that's very important. You need someone who can fit the role properly. If you're casting a teenage or young boy, for example, naturally you're going to want someone younger, or someone male or female, who can do a younger sounding voice convincingly. But believe me, there have been some shows that I've seen and some dubs that I've watched where the casting was absolutely downright bizarre, where the person dubbing a certain character was almost the complete opposite of everything the character was all about. And this next point applies to both good subs, good dubs, and bad dubs to an extent. And that is the quality of the translation. Obviously, coming from Japanese is a very complex process, especially when they have to rearrange and dumb down sentences a little bit in order to get the mouth movements as accurate as possible, while still conveying the original message in the original tone and style of the character and their mannerisms, how they speak, etc. This can obviously be a bit of a challenge because you do have to take some liberties with the text and some concessions have to be made to get it to fit. And this is where the quality of the translation comes in. If it's a good sub or a good dub, then the message is conveyed properly across. The sentence, maybe the structure is slightly changed a little bit, but the point gets across, and hopefully can still retain a couple of little idiosyncrasies of the character involved. However, in both bad dubs and bad subs, if you have a bad translation, you can lose small bits of it that are individual to the character or the person speaking, or in some cases, the entire sentence can be drastically changed and not really get the same point across. But at the end of the day, all of this is down to what you prefer to watch. I know personally, for me, I go about 50-50. maybe about 70-30, leaning towards subs favors. Usually one of the main things that I actually take into consideration if I'm going to watch it in English or if I'm going to watch it in Japanese with subtitles, because of course I don't speak Japanese to save my life, but the things I look for are the cast. When I look at the characters, the story, the setting, etc., and then I see the cast and I know what they're capable of, or I can hear what they're capable of if I'm not previously familiar with them, that's usually where I can discern if I'm going to watch a sub or a dub, or maybe I'll even try one and then try the other and see which fits more. When it comes to subs and dubs, one isn't inherently better than the other. Although I will say this, like I said earlier in the video, you do miss a lot of nuance when you're listening in a foreign language and only reading subtitles. Not something you generally pick up on unless you watch a lot of subtitled anime and then randomly go back and watch them dubbed, or with a good dub at least. And of course that's not completely disregarding some of the obvious ones as well, the obvious pros, the obvious cons, things like that. I frequent a lot of conventions and I can't even begin to count how many times I've been at a panel with different voice actors and whatnot, and someone in the crowd has stood up, they've posed not so much a question but a statement, more of a thank you to the actors involved. Because they might have extremely poor eyesight to the point where they wouldn't be able to read the subtitles. And if the show wasn't dubbed by these people, then they wouldn't get to experience it whatsoever. And the more people that watch the anime, the better. But like I said, it varies for me personally. One isn't inherently better than the other. I'm about 70-30 in favour of subs, but I'm not completely shut down to the idea of watching dubbed anime, of course. I realise the majority of this video will kind of only speak to the English speaking audience, because when it comes to getting translated to other languages outside of English, the options are very, very limited. In fact, I've had some subscribers say that in their countries, when it comes to dubbing certain anime and whatnot, that it's usually the same 4 or 5, literally 4 or 5 voice actors voicing absolutely everything. But at least in English, we do have a nice, huge, wide variety of different voice actors out there. All with different capabilities, different specialities, all fit different roles very, very well sometimes. But anyway, let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on subs versus dubs? Are you 100% dub? Are you 100% sub? Are you 50-50? Or what's your criteria between watching a dub and watching a sub? And why? Let me know all that good stuff in the comment section below. Hit the appropriate button to let me know how I did on the video. And while you're at it, why not head on over and hit the subscribe button. Even ring that little notification bell. Granted, getting a notification from YouTube about a video upload or another live stream or whatever is a whole other story. But hey, at least you can say you tried, am I right? As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.